You guys, I'm so excited to introduce you to Mark. This is my husband, and we today thought we could talk about date nights. Date nights, I always say, if it's not planned, it's probably not gonna happen. And I think that statement comes even more true when you have kids. Date nights don't have to be a movie or a dinner and movie or just going out to a fancy restaurant. For us, we tend to do errands a lot of the time. We get things off of our to-do list that might be stressful or more stressful taking the kids with us. So we really like to cross things off our list that we can do together, and a lot of the time we have great conversations while doing it. It also helps us kind of plan our week and get on schedule, but we don't do that every week. We do like to mix it up a bit. We want to make sure we don't do the same thing every week. If we have something planned, say we're going to a movie, we really make sure that we don't go to a movie 2 or 3 weeks in a row, because that's not a good date when it comes to connecting.
We're not interacting and we're not having conversation as much. We may be in the same room, but there's a piece that gets missed there because you're sitting in silence for 2.5 hours.
Right.
You're watching this, it's a shared activity, but there's something to the connection piece and talking. And how's your day? What did the kids do today? Are you thankful that there's not a kid touching you right now?
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
I want to talk about babysitters too. We put date night as a priority in our marriage really early on. We did date nights even before kids, but especially when we started having kids and when we had Carter, our first, we implemented it super early on. And what we did was we had a babysitter, whether it was my parents or your parents, or we have an amazing date night sitter that
we moved closer to Kat's parents, so we would have that built in, but we don't realize that that's not always an option for everybody.
Right.
But
if you can move closer to free babysitters like parents or grandparents or cousins, whatever it is, that's great. We did end up moving closer to my parents so we'd have that ability, but then we also had a sitter that we could use that we ended up just planning her every week. We had the finances to be able to do that. We also just decided to cut other things out of our life to be able to afford that and to be able to do that and be responsible with our money. We made sure Wednesdays are our date night, and every Wednesday we have a date together, whether it's with a friend or it's just the two of us, or we go to a movie or we run errands. It's every Wednesday and we have it in our schedule, and really nothing touches it.
Right.
We make sure that if there's an event or party, we don't shift it. We say we're busy, and that's something that we committed as a couple together to be like, nothing's gonna touch our date night. Again, our relationship came before the kids, so we need to make sure that we keep our relationship strong and good, and being able to communicate really well with each other. And that's where date nights, I think, come into play.
Well, it's setting boundaries for your life too. I think there's something about being a yes person or a no person, and setting those boundaries and setting priorities. Because if you commit to too many things, it can sometimes be wearing or even more tiring. You set aside this time to spend time with your spouse, and it ends up sucking more life out of you than you would have hoped, and then you kind of lost the focus of spending time together.
And I think with dates, it's really, for us, what we found works really, really well is do things that you both enjoy. We like to say we play well together. Mm-hmm. And I would encourage any of you that are in a relationship, whether you're married or just dating, is find things that you enjoy doing together, that you enjoy playing. Playing an adventure is really, I think, what keeps your relationship and the romance and everything connected. We love sports, and so being able to go to a sporting event or golfing, whatever it is, whether we're doing the activity of a sport or just watching sports, that's something we really enjoy. And so that is a lot of our date nights, or date days. I guess if we're golfing, it's not always at night. It can be during the day too. If you are on a tight budget, say you don't maybe have the ability to have a babysitter and you don't have family in town, some ideas is put the kids to bed and then have actual time together as a couple that is planned, that you don't turn on the TV or you don't do your normal sit on the couch or veg or whatever you normally do. I think plan a date that's in. Then you're not paying for a babysitter. The kids are already asleep. And we would do that a lot even before kids. We'd play cards. We loved card games. We'd play Phase 10 a lot.
A lot of Phase 10.
Yeah. And it doesn't, again, have to cost money. Another way that kind of brainstorming ways, if you are on a budget and you say, Kat, Mark, I don't have the ability to pay for a babysitter and I don't have family in town, what can I do? We have friends that actually swap. So it's two families, they both have kids, and they said, we don't have the finances to have a babysitter, but so they have a babysitter. Every week, there's a date night. One family will take all the kids for happy hour. So it's also during the time where the meals are less expensive, and it's before bedtime. So one family 1 week will take all the kids while the couple of one family goes on a date, and then the next week they switch. And I think that's just so clever that if you don't have the ability to have a babysitter, think outside of the box and brainstorm ideas that work for you, work for your friends, to be able to still give your relationship that quality time that it needs.
So important. Mm-hmm. So important.
Another way to think outside of the box, I love just being more creative when it comes to date nights, is you don't have to go at night. It could be a brunch. Mark had a season where he'd have a day off during work, during a weekday, and so we would do brunch in the morning. And that was great. A lot of the restaurants are less crowded. That's why actually we do our date nights on Wednesdays and not a Friday or Saturday.
Yep.
We don't like crowds.
We do not like crowds.
So we tend to go places where they're less packed. And
places are usually very empty Wednesday nights, especially in the city.
Also easy to find a babysitter. A lot of babysitters might not want to give up their Friday or Saturday night.
True.
And we have a way easier time getting babysitters during the week because we're not taking from their social time. It's just some extra money for them.
I didn't even know that we were doing that. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It worked out.
Yeah, we did, huh? I think it's very lucky that we live by a college campus, so we in turn are in community with a lot of college students. We did do ministry of college ministry, and so we'd have college students over at our house. Some may say, wow, you're so lucky, but I wouldn't discourage you by going out and finding them. Maybe go to the coffee shops. Where do they hang out? Where are the neighborhood friends? Ask neighborhood families, do you have a kid? Is there a neighborhood listserv that you can email out and say, I'm looking for a babysitter. Does anyone have an age-appropriate child that might want to make extra money? I love, though, having so many different types of people being in relationship with my kids. Yeah. And I think that's what also gives me more comfort when we do go on a date night, that we have our kids with all different people. It's not just my parents, it's not just your parents, it's not just one person. We have so many people that live life with our kids, and I think that's also helping them be better human beings.
Sure.
And even before we had kids, we did a lot of activities. Again, we talked about playing together. We'd go to bingo. Maybe it was kind of an old person game, but we loved it. We loved playing bingo. We'd go to trivia.
Nights.
Sometimes we would just sit in our car, or we'll go and have a date night and then come back and sit in our car. And we have an app on our phone that allows us to see if our kids are asleep or not. Yeah. And we will sit in our car out front of our house and wait until they're in bed. Because what's a date night if you have to put your kids to bed? That's not a date night, right? But I would just really encourage you to make sure that you remember your marriage came before your kids, or even your relationship. Make it a priority and make sure that your spouse feels loved. Self-care I've talked about on this channel, and I say self-care can also be done on date nights too. We sometimes will do massages or petties, manis. Yes, my husband likes to get petties and manis or a facial. He loves them, guys. If you have a husband that doesn't understand how great they are, have them watch this video and see like the excitement on his face. Because he was not someone who would go and get a massage before we got married, or even pedicure. Touching your feet was not an option, right?
Did not like my feet being
Yeah, and now he's the one that says, hey babe, can we get a pedi mani tonight? How are you not? You're the one. How you have changed.
There it is, out there on the line now.
In the years that we have been married. So you can, again, I keep saying, think outside of the box. Self-care is such a big part of that. So if that's something that you guys can do together, it just brings you closer together as a couple. So just as a reminder, if it's not planned, it's probably not gonna happen when it comes to self-care or a date night.
Sure.
So make sure that you keep your marriage as the center and a priority even before your kids. I know it's so hard, but remember that. If you guys like this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button up in the corner or hit the thumbs up button and hit the notification button so you can be notified when our next video comes live.